and bam! Everything dies. And here he goes with 1,000,000 damage. Even at A0, he's doing A5 Valara levels of damage. That is insane. Welcome back to Destined with Destined, and we have a very, very, very special video. AKA, we got the new Lord coming very, very soon. My guess is Halloween. Usually these are a week later. And this guy is so cool looking. Look at him. He's freaking huge. He looks really sick. Definitely one of my favorite designs in the game. If you click it, he does this really cool sword motion. He's coming soon. He's really cool, and I want to go over him, and we're going to see how good he really is. First of all, Ezareth is a cultist lord. Cultist is very relevant right now for specifically Matrix 1, as well as cultist faction trials are very hard, and really just anything AoE related in general, so clearly he's going to be good there. And he is a fighter, 20 cost, AoE magic attack, ally buff, strong CC. If you look at his abilities, or his range and his stats, you can see that he has a Neja range, which is this specific tile. Very similar to something like a Magda as well, but a little bit different. Basically just a Neja range. Very weird, but it works. We have about 20,000 HP, 5,100 attack, which is actually really high for magic DPS. Then we have okay defense, magic resistance, 20 cost once again. His attack interval is at 2.6, which is the standard, and the rage regens are normal. Going into the kit, we can see, first of all, magic type damage, and there's a lot that goes into it. So not only am I going to read the kit, I'm also going to show how he works a little bit later, so stay tuned for that. Basically, talent specializes in draining a life force from the weak and converting it into dark spores. Dark spores can stack up to 5 times, and this actually does have a visual indicator, so you will know how many you have. Carrying it grants immunity to most debuffs. So for something like in Matrix, the debuff that causes continuous damage will not be added. Stuff like Winter's Bite will not be added. This is good for areas like GVG as well, where you're going to have a lot of debuffs. It also aids the caster in battle. Now, when deployed, enters World Destroyer mode and gains 2 stacks of Dark Spores. World Destroyer mode is one of 2 forms. This guy is basically Ingrid if she was a fighter, in a way. Basically, 2 forms, 2 different things. When he's placed, he gets World Destroyer mode, which is focused combat. Now, in this form, if you're carrying at least 1 stack of Dark Spores, consumes 1 stack of Dark Spores to deal 430% AoE damage to up to 10 enemies in a large area ahead. This effect has a 5-second cooldown. This is monstrous amounts of damage. Going into the rest of the kit, we have the basic attack, which is 120% AoE damage up to 8 enemy targets in range. Then we have the first passive, which is Dinner Bell, World Destroyer mode, which is the thing that does special AoE attacks. Make it so that that special attack inflicts magic vulnerability 25% on the target and executes enemies with HP below 30%. 30% is a lot. And not only that, we also have 25% vulnerability, which is really, really good. Going to the second passive, when carrying Dark Spores, increases attack and damage reduction by 20%. Takes less damage, does more damage. And when triggering World Devourer mode, which I'll get to in a second, its Devour effect, it deals 200% AoE damage to up to 8 enemies around the target and inflicts stun on them. If the devoured target is an allied summon, it restores 5% rage to its owner. And if the owner belongs to his faction, the Cursed Cult, restores an additional 10% rage. Now, you might be confused about the eating mechanic, and that's where World Devourer mode comes in. A lot of reading. This is his other form. It's a mode of focused recovery. When Dark Spores is not at full stack, so below 5, It devours one allied summon in the basic attack range or one enemy with HP below 50%. As long as they are not a special allied summon, this is going to be like Eye Crystals and Anora Dragon. Things like that cannot be eaten, but pretty much every other summon can, like Beelzebub's flies and Xerath summons can be eaten. And it also will restore the caster 35% HP if their summons get eaten. Gains a stack of Dark Spores when eating. And after devouring an allied summon, additionally gains one stack of Dark Spores and takes 2 seconds to trigger again. After devouring an enemy, it takes 10 seconds. So basically, you're in your damaging form, you're using the Dark Spores, and when you want to recharge, because it's a finite resource, you're going to swap to the Devour, eat summons, or eat enemies, and you're going to be able to swap back and continue tearing through enemies. And the ultimate is just the way to switch between them. Now, the Lord skill is also very interesting. If you didn't know, Lord skills always, for legendary lords, have a special bit at the bottom that is unique. The other stuff, the 15% attributes to faction team members, and the increasing faction team members' damage to enemies that have CC effects on them by 30%, that is all normal for Cultist lords. But his special ability is ridiculous. Increases faction team members' damage by 25%. When the Lord is on the battlefield and an allied summon dies, increases all faction team members' damage by an additional 5% for 15 seconds, stacking up to 3 times. So it can go up to 40% damage increase on top of everything else. That is really strong. If we look at something like Demi, it increases faction team members' damage by 5% for each enemy in their initial basic attack range, up to 35% increase. That's less, and it's easier to trigger this sort of thing. So that's pretty cool. Going into the Awakenings, the A1 makes it so that when World Destroyer mode special attack is triggered, it increases AoE damage by 15% for the hero and all allied mages on the field for 8 seconds. So works very well with his faction. A2 is going to be attack and AoE damage increase for him and allies. And then A3 is every 2 triggers of World Devourer mode's Devour effect grants an extra stack of Dark Spores, so you get a little bit extra. And then the A5 World Destroyers mode special attack, which is a lot of his damage, ignores 25% magic resistance, which is very strong. Gear-wise, I have Soulbound. I know Cataclysm is good as well, but Soulbound is just more accessible. I try not to make the gear too absurdly good, just keep that in mind going into this. And then we have Eye of Sin as well. Let's get into the testing. The first thing we have to do with this guy is figure out how the hell he works, and also try him in Geared 1. Geared 1 is the best baseline for AoE damage units, in my opinion. Basically, all you gotta know is Valara, Ninja are the main best DPS for this mode, and this is a piece of content built for him. His range covers all of the tiles in front, and we gotta see how he works. And pairing with him, we're gonna be using Belize, which is going to be a unit that, if you haven't seen the video of, it is already probably out, and I recommend checking it out. She is just as strong. She's really good. And all you gotta know about her for now is her summons 3 different summons. And who eats summons to become stronger? The Lord, obviously. So she's gonna be here just for that. And we also have Valara for when I want to try her out. Beelzebub is the inspiration and also technically summons. And then Elwyn for the healer. This is just what we're gonna do. I'm gonna start with him and then I'll restart and we'll do it with the full team and see what happens. So first of all, we put him here. Look at that range. That range is beautiful. Then we could put our Beelzebub. And then I'll put Elwyn a little bit later. As you can see, he spawns with 2 stacks, and that right there is his attack. So he consumes the stack, flies all the way out, all the way over to frickin' here, and it does damage, which is super cool. It has a 5-second cooldown, something like that at least, and he's pretty damn cool. So obviously now he's out of the currency, so he's gonna stop doing that, and he's gonna start doing little bits of damage. As you can see, he's not hitting super hard. These are very resistant enemies, but you get the idea, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put Valise, who has a very cool range, and we're gonna use her. We're gonna use this guy, the Lord, to consume the summons, and it's just gonna make him stronger. So here we're gonna be able to click her ultimate. We can click Beelzebub as well. As you can see, we got the summons out here. And what we can do is we can swap. This is 50 cost, by the way. It comes back almost immediately. And he's going to eat it, which is going to give him 2 stacks. And once he's eaten it, we could swap again. He's eaten 2, actually. And he's going to start hitting again. And you may notice she is almost at her ult again. Not only because she has a low ult cost, but because he gives her rage and healing when he consumes her summons. Right? That's just how he works. So now he's going to start hitting for freaking 300,000, a million damage right there. That is crazy. And now you can see that we have, I think that was a summon. I don't know. Either way, we have an enemy low HP. We swap, he consumes it. Below 50% HP, you swap him, he consumes the enemy. You don't even need your ally summons. But we're going to put out more summons anyways. We're going to see if he eats them. As you can see, they're out. He's still doing solid damage. He's just not using his special form. And he's going to eat them when they're done. And then we could swap. And then we start hitting for 800k. I mean, this is 24, and he is shredding through. We have no pot on, no nothing. It's him and a summoner. That is it. Here, let me just quickly look at the damage before we go in with a full run with just Valara, him, and the summoner as well. The summoner is going to have a lot of damage as well, but you can see absolutely insane damage output for 10 enemies dying. I mean, he is really, really cool. Let's go for a full run. Why not? Right? You know, maybe we'll actually be able to clear stage 24 of Gear Aid 1. So here we're going to do Ezareth. Is it Ezareth? Ezareth. Sorry, I already forgot his name. My bad. Then we do Beelzebub. And then we could do something like Valara up here, just so that she also gets some Wings of Grace or Invigoration. Then we could also put our Eloin right here so that we get the buff. And then I could swap the Valara down here. Valara will actually chain. So most of her damage is actually going to be consistent if she was in the middle. Just a fun fact there, especially because she even targets over here. So if you think that her damage output's going to be completely lower, it's only slightly going to be lower. So keep that in mind. And then we could use our Valise. I think I'm going to do her here. I'm a little concerned about her dying, but it's okay. We can wait until things are about half HP. We could swap him right here. He'll eat it. And we can also... Will he eat it? Maybe not. Either way, he'll eat something, obviously. And we should be good. Things are dying. Let me just do 2x speed. He's going to eat. I'm going to wait until he gets 5 stacks. And then we could pop the ult. Swap him. Use Valara. Use Valise. And everything is freaking dying. Immediately... Look at him. He's just going out. Bam. Million damage. Bam. 300k on basic attacks. Bam. Just doing everything. It is crazy how much damage he does. And then now that he doesn't have any stacks, his damage output is sorely lacking. It's just how it works, right? You gotta make sure that you get that damage while you can. Okay? Right there, he chomped that enemy. Disappeared completely. We're gonna just keep it going. He's gonna consume more things. We can click Valar ult. He's going to get full stacks. We swap him back, and he just starts chunking their HP like nothing. It is crazy. Here, I can swap him again because we still have some Valise stuff out there. Then we can swap him again, and he's just shredding. That is... He's just so cool. I don't know, man. I'm definitely going for him. This is an A0 too, so... now we get to the final wave. I'm just doing this all, unscripted, unedited, because I think it's important to show. This is a very bare bones team, and Valara is actually A5, and I don't feel like she's doing that much, I'll be honest. So here we're gonna swap, and then we're gonna wait until we get a couple more stacks. We can then swap again, click Valara, click Valise, just stomp this with no inspiration on us at all. And we may lose, but it was worth a try, right? So here we're gonna swap again, get some more stacks, swap again, then we can Valise ult while he keeps on stomping things into the ground. He's a lot of fun, man. Now, are we gonna lose? Probably, but I think it's still pretty damn good, right? With only 3 DPS, a little bit of support, and still doing God's work. I mean, it is great. As you can see there, we're gonna continue to deal damage. Felice is getting completely deleted right now, and the wall goes down, and we lose. So that's how it goes, obviously. But that is very, very cool. Now, you may notice that he is doing A5 Valara damage at A0. Now, a couple caveats to this is, number one, he's in the middle. Now, Valara will do a little bit more damage, so maybe an A5 Valara out damages an A0 of him. Another thing is, I was not using him perfectly. You could probably optimize him even better to do better. And the other thing is you need a summoner on your team. Something you're going to see is I will always have a summoner. It will most likely be Valise, but it could also be other units. I mean, there are a lot of other summoners: Ezareth, Kriya, Beatrix, Beelzebub. You know, there's a lot of different good DPS options that have summons on them that work very well with him. So keep that in mind, that he needs something to eat, and eating enemies just takes too damn long. So if you want his full potential, you gotta have him with a summoner. And the best one is going to be Valise. Once again, check out the video if you haven't already. That is Gear 1. I mean, with half of a team, pretty much, we were able to do almost all of 124. With no Malrecall gems, I don't use Malrecall on test server, and minimal support. Like, that is impressive. And now we get to AoE Arena, where he has potential to be meta. I don't think he will be, partially because, you know, I think Ingrid Valara is just too strong, but he is really good. Now, we're going to be using Valise here. You could obviously use any other summoner, like a Ezareth would be really good. I don't even know if I have Ezareth. Maybe I'm blind. Either way, it doesn't really matter. And as long as you have a summoner, you get his full potential. And he's basically going to shred through everything, kill everything, and destroy everything. Kayn is there just because we need a cost gen. Sirene's probably better because Kayn can't really do damage because everything dies. Also, keep in mind, test server, the enemies are weaker in Arena. This is just to showcase a type of team. Now, the beginning is going to be a little sloppy because I didn't really put too much time into fine-tuning that. We're here for the finishing. Now, we're going to do Kayn immediately to just straight up, you know, build some cost, do a little bit of damage at the beginning. Basically, normal Kayn things. And, of course, he's going to push it. I don't like using Kayn. I tried to hold on to his ult so he could build more cost naturally. They should say he didn't do that. So we're just going to click his ult really quick and kill that. We're actually not going to click our Diao-Chen. We're going to wait until Ezareth, and we're going to put down our guy, and he's going to destroy everything immediately because he does on placement damage, which is very, very cool. We're going to put down our Diao-Chen, and we're going to swap him, because if you are not in his mode where he's going to start pushing himself out and dealing damage, it's just better to swap him so that he's always able to consume and able to build his stacks, because there's really no difference. Here, we're going to deal 160k hits on the basic. That is crazy damage. And then we can put down our second mage. Now, obviously, you could put the mage even further up, but we're not going to be doing that here. So here, we could click our Kayn ult to just clear the beginning. And then we could move this guy into his other form, click the summons, and bam! Everything dies. So as long as they get close enough to this area, he will go out rip them to shreds and instantly kill them. So maybe you could do like a no lord freaking Ingrid, or maybe have him not as the lord, and as soon as you swap him to his form, or he does his charge, he goes out, does 800,000 damage, and just one-shots everything. It's ridiculous. And that's not including his freaking execute, which is absurdly broken. So here we could swap him. I accidentally messed up and he's not going to instantly kill at the end, but we could swap him back because his ultimate is the cheapest ultimate in the game, if I'm not mistaken. And he just tears everything to shreds. So literally all it is doing the necessary support with the summons and making sure he eats them. And then you gotta swap him. And that's all you gotta do. So here we're actually not going to eat them for some reason, so we could use Kane this time. Either way, the summons are gonna deal a lot of damage. And oh, I forgot to swap forms. I'm so dumb. That's my bad. And then immediately he eats enough for 5 stacks. Just instant. Back at 5 stacks. We're able to one-shot everything again. And then I can swap him back if I wanted to. Eat some more. Swap him back. Start doing damage again. Bam! Killed. Dead. It is insane how much damage he does. We're just going to finish off that last round right here. This guy is so fun. It's one of my new favorite lords. I'm definitely pulling as much as I can for this guy. Even if he isn't the most meta lord in the world, he's such a blast. Here, we're going to swap him. He's going to immediately charge them, and then immediately charge them and kill everything on the field that is in his range. His damage is astronomical. This is a full A0 team. You can see he's doing the most damage. At least doing a lot of damage as well. Now, yeah, he's pretty good. So, yeah. Now we get into a little bit of a kind of rapid fire before we get into the Matrix and the GVG, which I think will be good in both. We're going to start with Gear Raid 2. So I think Gear Raid 2, he actually has some potential. Basically, all you got to know is you do the tank, and you can also do some of like the healer stuff or whatever. It doesn't really matter. And then we are going to do the Ezareth in a bit. Let me just do this very, very quickly. And then Ezareth is going to come out. Now, he doesn't hit fully, but you can still do some good damage. So let's put him over here. And as you can see, he is going to deal some very solid damage there. We get to stay alive. We can put that down. And you may notice that we have a Cyrus. So Ezareth can only target one of the sides, which is a little unfortunate, obviously. But what he can also do is he can gain stack from Cyrus's skeletons. So let's say your Cyrus is your only way of getting summons. Well, we could swap him. Not only is he going to finish this guy off. Oh wait, no, it's not in his range. Not only is he going to finish off low enemies, he also can eat Cyrus's summons, which is good, obviously. So here we're just going to keep on going through. You know, this is just kind of a showcase of an idea I had where he's going to be able to get some of these summons eaten up and some of these enemies eaten up and blah, 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 blah. And then you swap him and he does freaking 800k and he kills everything instantly, right? So that's something you could do there. Use someone who puts out summons for whatever reason and then he'll stomp it. Or you could even do no one with summons and just kill the enemies, chomp them up, and then he goes out and he does crazy burst. That's something you could do as well, and I think he can solo, or mostly solo, Gear Raid 2. And the other rapid fire is we actually have Conqueror open. And as you can see, Cultist is actually usable. We have Magda, we have Cerberus, we have Uridan, and even not as a lord, he can prove himself worth it. But we're going to try it anyways. Now, there's only 2 heroes that do put out summons, which is going to be Uridan and... not Uridan, sorry. Cyrus and Wukong are the only ground units that put it out, to my knowledge. So we're going to use Cyrus for this representation. We can use Magda in the back, give a little bit of a buff. We can put Valara. Uridan can be in front, and then we can do Cerberus. And we're just gonna go through really, really quick. I'm gonna skip most of this, if I'm being completely honest. And I will see you guys towards the end of the run. Now that we are starting to struggle a little bit, we just had Cerberus die, and as soon as Cerberus is done being dead, I'm going to swap his form and see how he does. So as you can see, things are coming in hot. We swap him, and he does 100k hits. Then he hits for 300k every basic attack. Then he does that big strong hit again, and just stomps everything. It is crazy how much damage he does in bursts. And then we can put down Cyrus, we could swap the forms, of course, and then he will build up the stacks again, and then we can swap him and he starts destroying. I mean, you could just see 1.2 million hits, swap him again, consume the Cyrus skeleton, then we swap him again, he kills everything. I mean, he's just a blast. I freaking love this guy. He's gonna go out again, and we're gonna get overrun, obviously, because he can only do so much, right? And yeah, that's it. So just another area I think he might actually be pretty good in. Will he be meta? Probably not. I think the friggin' conqueror teams are so fine-tuned already. But you know, he does some good ass damage, right? Valara level damage, even with no summoners on the field. Technically Cyrus is, but he's not really. You get what I mean. Now we get to Matrix, which is the main area I think we'll be good in. This is the team I have created. This is literally the exact team that is normally ran, except with a few changes over here. As you can see, the general idea is we have Cyrus, we have Carnelian, Nerissa, Elwyn, and Beelzebub, which is what is pretty much the meta on global servers. And then we have the DPS. So on one side, we're going to have Valara, we're going to have Demi, and we're going to have Beatrix. These are three of the best DPS in the meta teams, and they're going to be going against Valise and our Lord Ezareth. And we're going to see if they can hold up. So basically, something that you could use instead, or people usually use instead, is Honora and Magda. Okay, so that's what I'm replacing on this. Obviously, Honora and Magda are both very good. We're going to try this out here. So everyone's geared pretty much. I would argue that the other guys are geared better than the two that I'm showing off, because I try to keep them in normal gear, but everyone else can kind of have whatever gear they want. Either way, we're going to do Ezareth on the side right there. We can give him some Invig. We can put Valara down. We can give her some Invig right here. We can put down our Summoner. We're going to put down our Invig. We can put down our Demi, and we can give her some Invig. Beatrix can't get Invig because I have many things covered. And we can do Cyrus on top. So right now, we're going to basically click those two, and then we're going to click the Summoner. We can swap him because he needs to obviously consume some things. Summoner's going to stomp them into the ground, obviously. Valara also doing a ton of damage. And now what we can do is we can swap him and look at what he does. Bam, swapped. And he's going to chunk it down really, really fast. Now, it's not the most damage I've ever seen, but 900k is insane. And he does it often. And then, obviously, the unit that he's eating the summons of is going to be able to ult very fast because he gives her rage. He's giving her 100 rage for every summon he eats. She summons 4. I mean, not 4, 3. You kind of can connect the dots, right? So here, we're going to swap him. He's going to do 1,000,000 damage, stomp him, 1,400,000 is ridiculous. And the execute, obviously. And then if we don't want to use them and we want to use her, we have that flexibility because I can shut him off whenever. I can stop him from being the star of the show at any time, which is amazing. And then when I want him to be again, I can just immediately swap him again and have him kill everything instantly. It's amazing. And in this in-between round, which is where you're actually going to get a lot of your points if you're strong enough to go until the timer kills you, you could just keep on going, and then you could swap him when you want. And then you could send out Beelzebub and not Ezareth, freaking Valise summons, and just really capitalize on the mechanics. It's really good, and even his basic attacks are doing hundreds of thousands of damage, and there's just so much flexibility. I mean, these two are going to deal as much damage as the currently 3 of the best DPS for the stage. They don't amount to the same that these 2 units are doing, right? It's just crazy. These guys are going to be heavy Matrix meta. If you're missing a Valara, use him and any summoner. Beatrix works great. She has countless summons on the field. Rio works. Zareth is weaker over time, but you get the idea, right? You just put him with a summoner on his side, and he does everything. All right? He is amazing for this content. This is going to be easily the best content for him, because this is the content you need him, right? The left side has already died. The right side is dying slower with 1 more DPS. Like, that's crazy, right? So just keep that in mind, that he's incredibly Matrix meta. I don't want to keep here the whole time, so we're gonna quit out a little bit early. And then, as you can see, we have Valara and him doing the same amount of damage, right? A5 Valara and him are the same unit. That's all you gotta know. Like, it's ridiculous. So now we have 2 incredibly powerful AoE DPS. And the final piece of content for this video is going to be GVG. This is the team I have set. So this is a little bit of a weird map, and this is a really weird setup. So you may notice we have the healer here doing rage, doing inspiration, protection. Airless is the best GVG healer right now. We have Broke here, who's one of the best tanks. Ezareth will be able to target up here. Valise is actually not at a good range to target. She can only target over here, but you'll see why that's not a problem. And Beelzebub can reach everything on the field. Super strange setup, but it will work. So here we're going to go in with a Kirby strategy, which is what I call these types of things. These are really called grotesque fiends, but I think Kirby is a little bit more fun. Let me just double check that we have the BPs in a good position, and then we will get going. So here, starting off, this is like a 123k A5 Iovar Kirby, or grotesque, or whatever you call them. And we're going to go in with the normal attack with these. And what you're going to see is, if you keep an eye on Valise, she's actually going to ult immediately, which is going to spawn her summons, and they're just going to chill there for a long time. I mean, these things last permanently, which is crazy. And then when Ezareth runs low on his stacks, he will swap, he will eat them, and he will swap back and start doing damage. That's the way it's going to work. So here we're going to do our little minion things there. We're going to wait until about 6.5, then we can do our Kirby, or our Chomper, or our freaking whatever you call them. And then he's obviously going to shred. He's going to shred again, doing 800k. He's hitting them just fine with the summons, which are now dead because he ate them. And I can't even get the Fool out before one of the Kirby's lives go away. But obviously they're going to keep on going, and we're going to get that Fool out. Rokira's died 1 time, and we're going to continue doing damage. Now, I did actually do a different variation of this team, which was with Anora, and Anora dwarfed their damage and completely shredded it like it wasn't even there. This is going to be the one weakness of this team. Keep in mind everything is A0 on this team, obviously, as well. But you can see that we kill everything and we go through. But if we look at the damage numbers, his damage is going to be a little bit lower than it should be. But you can see he is doing really good damage, and so is she. Obviously, Beelzebub not doing much. But what we can do is we can swap to a different sort of comp to kind of counter this. So instead of Beelzebub, we could use Valara. We could use some type of single target. Maybe a Wukong could work. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. What we're going to be doing is we are going to be doing our Anora. Anora is a 5 Even A0 could do just fine, but this is the only one leveled on my test server, so we're just going to put her there, facing up, so she's able to target, and we can go in with an auto fight of the same type of attack. Keep in mind, A5 IO bar, high BP, obviously a level 11 fool is kind of crazy, and we're just going to go in. So once again, she targets from all the way back there, he swaps when he's getting low, and obviously we have some really solid damage output. Already the first life has disappeared. The Fool's gonna go up, and you can see the Kirby is already dead before the Fool can even get there. Now, the auto messed up, but you guys kind of get the idea. So we're gonna go in with one more time the same strategy. This time we can't even use the Fool because it dives too fast. So we're gonna do the Kirby. We're gonna place it right here. We're then gonna do the spiders. We're trying to feed it as fast as possible, get it to the max strength possible, and hopefully he doesn't get CC'd too fast or dies too fast. And we're gonna hopefully gear up to getting another one. So here we got another Procure passive proc right there. As you can see, we're gonna do another one, and then we're going to try to shred. Now, apart from this, he does not hit air, but obviously Honora and Valise will kill them. And then the other thing is swarms stand 0 chance. Swarms will not stand a single chance. Axes, dead instantly. Shadowcasters probably get rolled. But as you can see, we're proccing it again, and this guy is going to go through and probably kill him. He's not dying. Why didn't he die? Is it possible when he eats things or when he swaps, he's immortal? Maybe. Either way, he does die, but we do actually kill that thing. So now we do have 2 units to follow up. Probably you'll do like flyers or archers or something, and then you're able to dog through. This might not work because we do have 4 summons sitting on the field, but you get the idea, right? This is still beatable, but they really did well against Kirby. So I think with Malric called pieces and, you know, better accounts that aren't using A0 and everything, will be able to defend against the BP that I used. For people that are able to run everything A0, I think maybe they will defend pretty well. I don't think he's going to be the most meta GVG unit, but for a second team without a Valara, I think there's some potential here. So what do I think about Ezareth? Well, he does some of the highest AoE damage in the game. If set up properly, Ezareth does the same level of damage as an A5 Valara, which is absurd, right? That is unbelievable, incomparable, apart from an A5 Valara, like insane. But he requires a lot of setup. So if you have Ezareth, please try to pick up Valise. She is undeniably the best support for him. I basically used her with him the entire freaking video. Her video will be just about her because I know not everyone will pull him. Basically, he needs a lot of setup, which is obviously a downside. And then the other downside I see is there's not a ton of content for him. So Cultist Trial is very hard. They're actually getting nerfed, so they will become easier, but he is very, very good there. Okay? Gear Raid 1, very, very, very powerful. Gear Raid 2, very powerful. Matrix, very powerful. And AoE Arena, if you don't have Valara, he will probably be in your best team. If you have Valara, I don't foresee him being the best there, but that's just one thing. That's all I can really see him. I think AoE content is a little bit more limited if you don't have the flexibility Valara has, or you don't have, you know, the ability for most boss content. He's undeniably going to be amazing for Matrix. If you are not super uber endgame, you're going to get a ton of value from him from just random assorted content. He does some of the highest AoE damage in the game. Okay, he has a really good range for what he does. His swapping thing is a little weird, but the fact that he executes 50% enemies single target wise and then 30% AoE wise makes him really, really strong. Is he a must pull? Probably not, but he's undeniably not only the best cultist lord, he's also one of the best AoE units in the game, and I think he is amazing. I may put him S tier in my tier list. I'm not sure yet. We'll have to see. He's very good. I recommend picking him up if you aren't like seriously lacking someone. And yeah, hope you guys get him. Thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe. I'll see you all in the next one. Destined signing out. And very quickly, if you want more videos like this as soon as I possibly can, the best way to support me is to like and subscribe. Really helps me out, and I would greatly appreciate it, but no pressure, of course. Let's get back to the video.